webcast, and I have been told that the webcast will be up on the Chamber's website afterwards. It'll be podcast for everyone to do that way as well. My name is Eric Rose, and I'm from 570 News. I'm moderating the forum tonight. This is the first of 4 municipal candidate forums organized by the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce in advance of the October 27th vote. The Waterloo Mayor debate will be at the Waterloo Rec Complex tomorrow, September 25th, from 4 until 6, followed by the Kitchener Mayor debate at the City Hall Rotunda on Tuesday, September 30th. And the final chamber event will be the Office of Mayor in Woolwich Township, and it will be held on October 1st at the Woolwich Memorial Centre. Now, the format for the event this afternoon will be an hour for regional chair candidates, followed by an hour for regional council, and these questions are significant issues for local employers and have been advanced through the Chamber's policy advisory committees and the at-large membership. At approximately 5 this afternoon, we will invite the candidates for regional council forward for the second debate, and due to the number of candidates and the issues that we want to cover, we will try to limit the answers to 2 minutes. I'll try to keep an eye on that, and if I say time, then you can just wrap up. We'll give you maybe 10-15 seconds after that. As many of you are aware, there will be a number of new councillors after the October 27th vote, so the Chamber considers it very important that all these candidates are provided with a forum such as this to forward their views. At this point, I'd like to introduce in alphabetical order the candidates for regional chair. We will follow this order for the first question and then rotate thereafter. So the second candidate for question 1 will be the first for question 2. So we'll start with Mr. Jay Asa for question 1. Question 2 will go to Mr. Oz Cole Arnold. So let me just introduce the candidates now. Jay Asa, Oscar Cole Arnold, Moira Sharon McGee. We do not have Robert with us here today. Paul Niles, Ken Sealing, and John Wolf. Let's get right into it. The first question to Mr. Asa. If elected, what will you do to attract new business and investment to Waterloo region? Also, do you support the creation of a new economic development agency?
The first thing I'd like to do is focus on our debt level for us to becoming a region that will lower debt level, and that will automatically attract a business to our province, our region, and then by keeping our taxes down, and by doing that, automatically we'll bring some new business to our region that we need, because there are lots of people out there without jobs. And what we need to do is all about the debt level we're carrying, and we'll continue raising that debt level. And by hopefully we try to keep it, if I get elected, under $300 million, because right now it's $500 million. By cutting it down, that will attract new businesses in our region.
Mr. Oz Cole Arnold.
I don't think austerity measures will draw new business. I think what draws new business is, for example, a living wage. Around here, that would be $18 an hour, full-time, and that would be geared to inflation with good benefits. I don't just want jobs in the area, I want good jobs, not contract labor, not guest workers, or if we have them, let them be paid good wages, then they'll go to the stores and buy. And also there needs to be very serious look at these big box stores and their wage labor. This is almost criminal. It's morally criminal to have these big box stores like Walmart and to have things like McDonald's and Tim Hortons give a lousy wage, and then they also drown out small business by that. That's just one area, but I think it's a very important one.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Moira Sharon McGee.
I would agree with Jay that we have to definitely look at how we're taxing our individuals and our businesses in our region, and improve our, I wouldn't say it's our quality of life in the region, but in what we get to do in the region, in our downtime, and make that affordable for everybody in our region. As far as this, bringing all of the independent EIAs together, which is what I assume you mean by
the Economic Development
right.
Agency.
For those of you that aren't familiar with that, basically, if my understanding is correct, and this is one heck of a learning process that I'm getting here, that would be bringing all of the different BIAs together from the different areas. Is that correct? And form one, and then we would all be able to pull our strengths and dollars together and create that. Is this what you're referring to?
So you would support that?
100%.
All right, thank you. And now we go to Paul Miles.
I have a question about that. Is that like because we've compounded all of the economic development strategies that used to be done by each of the cities into one, or is this talking about something different?
Am I on debate here?
No, I was asking a follow-up question for clarification, sorry.
As far as I understand it, you are correct. It's what Ms. Moira Cherbuki was referring to, but bringing the BIAs together.
I think right now, like if I could just add one more little thing, I'm not sure if this is appropriate or I'm over my time, but for instance, if you took at Cambridge, you have a Preston BIA, Golf BIA, Hespeler BIA. We would all come together and be able to share.
So the first part of the question, if elected, what would you do to attract new business and investment to Waterloo Region?
Okay, well, in regards to new business, I feel, we should be able to look at ways that we can accommodate new businesses coming into Waterloo Region, whether it be a couple of years where they pay slightly reduced taxes in exchange for bringing in higher paying jobs. Now, in regards to the combining of the BIAs, I'm not sure that's such a good idea. I really believe, that the more diverse the services are that you have to base off, the stronger the overall economy will be. And by reducing it down to just one, I feel we're setting ourselves up for failure.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chair.
I think it's fair to say, and the Globe Mail said this a few weeks ago, that there are two economic hotspots in Ontario, for the Toronto area and Waterloo Region. We are attracting business, we are attracting investment and new jobs, and new jobs being created in the region. And we do that for a number of things, doing a number of things. First of all, by having good infrastructure, by having good community supports, by having 3 great post-secondary institutions, which we work together with through accelerator centers, a whole range of things that we do. There's a lot that we do locally. I just attended a solitary this morning for a company that's expanding in the north end of the region. And really, a lot of economic development is based on making sure that the people that are here are welcome and feel comfortable and can expand here and do things here. So that's probably more critical than other things. External investment is also important, and we need to do that as well. I just took a look at comparative property taxes and suggested that property taxes are too high here. Well, in fact, property taxes for industrial properties across this region are right in the middle of the pack for Ontario. In fact, most of southern Ontario were below the mark. So I would say that we're in good shape that way. Our debt levels are reasonable. If you read the Moody's report, we could maintain a AAA credit rating. That's a way of spreading costs out over a longer period of time. And our debt levels, we're not even meeting 30% of the approved debt levels would allow us to do. And so we are judicious in our use of debt. And we've kept it reasonably low, and the Moody's will reaffirm that. And I would invite anybody who wants to talk about that to read the Moody's report. If you want to read the Global report on good financial management, that's in the Moody's report, which gives the AAA credit rating. I think that a number of things that we have done just recently, Council took a look at the development charges, which is always an issue for expansions and for investors who want to build here. And one of the things they did do was 2 things for the industrial sector. They actually reduced the rate by 50% for regional development charges. And they also, for those of you who don't know what regional development charge works, is that we always permitted a 50% expansion without a development charge for industrial. What we did, we set the clock afresh. We started new so that if somebody's already had their 50% expansion, then now as of the 1st of August, can have a second 50% expansion without attracting development charges. So we've made it much more attractive for people to grow their business, expand their business here in the region. In terms of the Economic Development Corporation, I think this is a great idea. We tried back in the 90s to try and get a more focused approach to economic development. We have to recognize that we're no longer competing with one another. It's not Cambridge versus Waterloo or Kitchener.
Last time. 15 seconds.
Okay. Anyway, this is an agreement by all 7 municipalities to bring together a body which coordinates the work, so it's one-stop shopping for people who want to invest in this region and to do economic development. Local economic development departments will continue, but this will be a much more coordinated approach on a higher level.
Okay, thank you. And we now go to John Wolf. John?
Yeah, those are very good questions. I think the region's done a great job with the high-tech industry. They marketed both universities, and there's all sorts of high-tech where they drop the ball as an average person. Now, we used to have all sorts of businesses here, you know, tire plants and all sorts of things, but they all left. I used to work as a foreman at Epton. I used to be Union Goodrich. That's gone. Now it's a university. It's combined with Master Waterloo, which is fine. But there's so many people hurting out there right now because they can't find a job just to pay their wages. Now we've got a real problem here in this area with getting people to go to work who don't need a lot of money to survive, because they get enough money from different programs that are out there. But you know, they got to realize there's more to life than just making enough to get by. But we got to get these industries back here somehow. And I think we can do that because Conestoga College has all sorts of high-intensive labor people. And there's lots of people working out there right now for less than $18, like Oz was saying. I mean, we can have non-unionized companies come here and promote it because, you know, they're working here now for temp agencies anyway. So if these companies, and they just realize all these people need is money and benefits. Now, benefits are a big issue with this region. And we need to make sure everybody's eligible. And a lot of people aren't. I know I personally was paying for my own insulin and all my own benefits because nobody told me about there was something out there. So I did my best just to, you know, stay alive by getting my own insulin, my own needles, and it's expensive. Anyways, that's my part of my story. But there's others that have exactly the same issues. They don't realize that they can get benefits. And now the region's dropped some of them. And it may not be their fault, but we still got to get these people benefits. Because the average person would like to work, and they'd like to support their family and have a nice place to live. And we got all sorts of people coming to this area because we got clean water and we got food. Now they come from these other nations, and a lot of them have a lot of money. Because there was a time when you could get into the country if you had $500,000. I don't know if that's still what's ongoing.
All right, that is time. Thank you so much.
Anyways, I haven't even gotten to the second.
Would you like 15 seconds for the second part?
Well, I don't know who's timing this.
Yeah, that was 2:30 actually.
Well, I think it's a good idea that they get together and have one consistent plan instead of everybody fighting each other, and the bureaucracy is just incredibly high in this area.
All right, thank you. We'll now go to the second question. We'll start with Mr. Oscole Arnold, and the question is, how can the region of Waterloo minimize disruptions to local businesses from the LRT construction?
That's a good question, and I don't have the answer to that. I hear that they're going to be minimized, but the small business people I talk to are very, very nervous, and where I do business are very, very nervous that in fact the disruptions, although there may be attempts to minimize them, they're concerned that they won't be minimized enough and they'll lose money and they'll have to lay off people. And I'm not sure they're wrong. In fact, I'm very concerned about that. If that were the only issue about the LRT, I think it could be worked out, but there's so many others. I won't get into it now, presuming there will be other questions. But I think that basically the big box stores at the end of the LRT and the gentrification condo developers are the big gainers. And I think small business has every reason to be worried.
All right, thank you. And we go on to Ms. Moira Sherman.
You can minimize it by canceling it. I mean, that would be a very simple solution. I'm not sure that that's the right solution. I'm definitely trying to find out as much information about this as is possible. Possibly we could ask Mr. Sealing, how much would it cost to cancel it, Mr. Sealing? And will we ever get the money again back from the governments that we have counted? Maybe we need to bite the bullet, and you know what, pain is tough. Or change is tough, rather. And if that's what we have to go through, we have to go through that. But I'm sure there are coordination efforts that could be made. I've seen that just in purchasing the regional roads and the work that's already begun. That it hasn't begun in a very kind of friendly way to businesses or residents.
So as far as minimizing those disruptions, what would you say?
It's very difficult to answer those questions unless you're the incumbent.
All right, thank you. And we'll go on to Paul Miles now.
Okay. What I would do in regards to minimizing the disruption that the LRT construction is going to cause, I would try to shift it to the periods at which the business is closed for. Like, I realize some of the construction will obviously have to take place while the business is open. But if we can move as much of the construction as possible to when they're not there, you know, we wouldn't be disrupting them because they're not there. Like, their physical building would still be there, but the road work wouldn't have effect on their customers. Another question that I have in regards to LRT is, I'm just wondering why we're laying down so much brand new track when, if we were to use the existing rail lines and twin them, I think we could come out a lot further ahead without so much disruption to the local businesses.
All right, thank you, Paul. And we go on to Ken Sealing.
So we're dealing with two very, very experienced contractors, Acon and Kiwi, which have done much of this work before and are very experienced in it. We spent a lot of time. We have contacted all the individual property owners, all the residents. We meet with them on an ongoing basis. We have a good working relationship with both BIAs who are helping us with this. They are very supportive of the project. We are providing notices. We're actually doing the work in smaller segments so the disruption is less to try and keep businesses operating and operable. And we're trying to do this in each section. This is removing services, underground services, and restoring the infrastructure. Many of these projects take place over time. We rebuild roads all the time. We probably do it on a larger scale, on larger chunks. We're doing a road rebuilding project. But these things, this isn't the first time we've had road reconstruction in the region. We're doing this in smaller sections and working very closely with people to do it. I think what was most telling for me, was most telling for a lot of the members of regional council, when we brought people in Portland, small business people in Portland who were along the routes when they built the Portland LRT. And many of them were opponents at the time. They now are the biggest fans of the LRT. It's done incredibly well for their businesses, and they're very big supporters, and they've offered many times to come over and speak to us to shop owners along here. So we've done a lot of work. We continue to do a lot of work, and we will speak to any concerns that we get: signage, timing, detours, everything on the sun. We'll work our best to be quick, concise, and keep them over the line.
All right, thank you. And now we go on to John Wolf.
Yeah, the LRT is an issue that's really hot potato, I guess. And some people just don't want it. I don't know if we could do a referendum after the election or not. I don't know if it's a good idea. Personally, I like the LRT because I think it's a way of getting rid of cars. I think we should start in Cambridge, though. But, you know, I live in Cambridge, and having come up to Fairview Mall, maybe a lot of those people who drive those cars would use the LRT and have buses waiting for them to take them to work or wherever they have to go. And another one of the people I talked to actually thought maybe we could do something from Kitchener to Guelph. We'd have to work together with Guelph, but that's another busy highway. And maybe we could do something with that. I mean, it's not a bad idea, but I just think they're starting it wrong. I mean, there's ideas like making it a monorail above everything, so people could, you know, won't be disrupted while they're building it. And there's other ways of doing it, I would think. I don't know where they are exactly. We've been talking about it for 12 years, and I didn't know about it until relatively recently. Sort of the whole way nobody really pays attention to what they're doing, I guess. But I guess they've been talking about it. And I know personally, I use the buses all the time because I want to get rid of the cars as much as I can because I think they're a major cause of air pollution and climate change and all that. And I think if we get people thinking along those lines, use the buses instead of car, go to the corner market or whatever, I think that would be money better spent doing something like that. Right now, I know they started these ION bus stations down in Cambridge, and they've taken away the GRT ones. And they took them away at the beginning of September, said 12 days, and they still haven't done anything. I talked to the one contractor from Stephen Evans, I believe, is doing that. And he says, well, the problem is we got the specs as being flat. Well, there's a bit of a hill, so that makes a huge difference. And there's all sorts of other issues that You know, if you start digging up the infrastructure, you're gonna find out what their forefathers buried before them, and you have to get rid of that.
All
That
right,
happened before the coal tower. I just see that happening, so there's a lot of people.
that is time. Thank you so much. And we go to Jay's.
Thank you. I'm gonna go back to the chair question about the AAA reading about the Moody. You know what, in 2009, our debt was $184 million. As of end of August, it's $500 million. And as projecting by Moody, it's $548 million gonna be. And this is, we didn't even start the LRT yet. Imagine when we're gonna start the LRT, are we gonna have another 500 more million dollars? I was 19 years old when I first came to Canada, and I go to Montreal, it be $10,000. But it's 25 and maximum